Infinite Cup. I've been drinking this coffee for 3 hours, but the cup won't empty. 3 hours, 180 minutes, 10,800 seconds. I know this because I've been watching the clock with the ceramic face on the wall opposite me. Its hand moves with a lazy, almost mocking slowness, but the level of the dark liquid in my white porcelain cup does not drop. At all. I take a sip, bitter, scalding, with a metallic aftertaste, and it refills immediately. Not from a pitcher, not from an invisible source. It just becomes full again, as if I had never touched it at all. It all started with fatigue. The kind of fatigue where your bones ache and your eyelids feel like lead. I was driving from Seattle to Washington, D.C. The delegation ran long, things went sideways, and I decided to set out at night to avoid traffic. A mistake. By 3 in the morning, the world outside my car window had shrunk to a strip of asphalt in the headlights, beyond which swirled an impenetrable darkness. My eyes were glued shut, my head nodding heavily toward the steering wheel. I needed a break, caffeine, some kind of stopping point, and then I saw it. A neon sign flickering in the pitch black on the outskirts of some suburban neighborhood that seemed deserted. The Eternal Sit-In, a strange name for a cafe. Beneath the sign, a window glowed with a soft golden light, hinting at a cozy interior, a beacon in the night. I turned into the nearly empty parking lot, killed the engine, and stumbled inside, swaying with exhaustion. The air inside was thick and sweet, smelling of freshly ground coffee, vanilla, and something else, faintly familiar yet indefinable, like the scent of an old book that hasn't been opened in years. It was quiet. A soft, melancholic saxophone melody was playing, but I couldn't pinpoint its source. The cafe consisted of several arched halls leading deeper inside, each with 3 or 4 tables. The decor was cute, even a little old-fashioned. Couches with velvet upholstery, low dark wood tables, paintings on the walls depicting this very same cafe, but from different angles. A cozy trap. No one was at the counter. I sat down near the entrance, dropped my coat on the seat beside me, and was about to call for someone when he appeared. The waiter, tall, slender, in a perfectly pressed white shirt and a black vest. His skin was unnaturally pale, almost porcelain, and the waves of his dark hair lay too perfectly. But most striking was his smile, wide, unchanging, frozen. It didn't reach his eyes, which were the color of old coffee and seemed utterly empty. "Good evening." His voice was velvety, soothing. "What will it be?" "Just coffee, please, black, a large cup." "1 cup of black coffee," he repeated, and his smile seemed to widen. "A wise choice." He disappeared into the depths of the establishment and returned a moment later, carrying on a small tray a single porcelain cup. It was full to the brim with a dark, almost black liquid from which a faint steam rose. He set it down in front of me without a saucer, without a spoon, without sugar. "Enjoy," he said, and melted into the shadows of the next hall. The first sip was a relief. Hot, strong. It spread through my body, banishing the numbness. I closed my eyes, savoring the moment. The fatigue began to recede. I took another sip, then another. And that's when I noticed the strangeness. The cup remained full. I frowned, put it down on the table, looked inside. Full. I took another, this time a greedy gulp, watching the level. The coffee touched my lips. I tasted it, swallowed. But in the cup, it was as if it hadn't diminished. It just was. Full. Hallucinations from exhaustion, I thought, and drank more. And more. 15 minutes passed. Half an hour. An hour. The cup was full, and I started to feel strange. The initial surge of alertness was replaced by a heavy, damp apathy. Strength wasn't returning, it was leaving. It was as if all the energy, all the will, had been sucked out of me. Thoughts of the road, of the meeting, of needing to drive further began to blur, to fog up, as if they weren't my memories but scenes from an old, forgotten movie. "Who am I, Sarah? Sarah Evans. I'm driving from Seattle. Or to Seattle. My forehead broke out in a sweat. Fear, cold and clammy, slithered down my spine. I need to leave. Right now. I tried to stand up, and I couldn't. My legs wouldn't obey. They were heavy, leaden, as if they had grown roots into the floor. I made an effort, pushed my hands against the table, trying to lift myself. My muscles tensed to the point of trembling, but I didn't move an inch. It was like that nightmare where you try to run from danger, but your legs refuse to move. Panic, sharp and blind, tightened my throat. I looked around the room, seeking help, and only now did I truly look around. In the hall where I was sitting, there were 3 other tables. At one, in the corner, sat an elderly man in a worn-out cap. He slowly, mechanically brought his cup to his lips, took a silent sip, and lowered it. His eyes were glazed over, empty, staring at nothing. And on his face was frozen that same blissful, expressionless smile the waiter had. He didn't blink, didn't move, only drank rhythmically. At another table, a young girl. She clutched her cup with both hands, like a child hugging a favorite toy, and pressed her cheek against it, smiling in her sleep. Her eyes were closed, but that same serene, idiotic smile didn't leave her lips. She wasn't drinking. She was just sitting there, happy and empty. The 3rd table was behind me. I turned my head with difficulty. A man in a business suit was sitting there. He was crying. Quiet, soundless tears rolled down his cheeks, but his face was also distorted by that same absurd, motionless smile. He was drinking between sobs that made no sound, and his cup was also full. Ice-cold horror seized me. I'm not alone. We are all here. Trapped. Help, I exhaled, and my voice sounded hoarse and weak, as if swallowed by the soft couch upholstery. Please help me. No one reacted. Not a single muscle twitched on the faces of my fellow sufferers. They just kept drinking, smiling, existing. I tried to jerk away again, to push off from the table. My hand trembled and knocked the cup over. My heart leaped with hope. This is it, the end. The coffee spilled onto the polished table surface, a dark puddle spreading, dripping onto the floor, and disappeared without a trace. And on the table in front of me stood the same white porcelain cup, full to the brim with dark coffee. I screamed. A short, stifled scream that was drowned out by the same cursed music. I had to get out. I leaned forward with all my might, grabbed the back of the couch, and using my arms, dragged my motionless body. It was unbearably heavy, as if I were dragging another person, centimeter by centimeter. I slid off the seat and collapsed onto the floor. The carpet cushioned my fall softly. My legs still refused to work. They dragged behind me like sacks of sand. I crawled toward the exit, toward the door I came in through. It was only 10 meters away. A whole world. I crawled, digging my fingers into the carpet pile, feeling every bone ache from the unbearable strain. I didn't look around. Only forward, at the door, behind which was freedom, my car, the normal world. I reached it. With the last of my strength, my hand trembling, I grabbed the handle and pulled. The door opened, but behind it was not the night street, not the parking lot with my car. Behind it was another hall, absolutely identical to the one I had just crawled out of. The same soft light, the same couches, the same tables. At one of them sat the same smiling old man, drinking from his eternal cup. And next to him, my bag and coat, neatly placed on the seat as if I had always sat there. Slowly, with difficulty, I looked back. The hall I'd crawled from was still there. I had crawled 10 meters and returned to my own table. Now this was another exactly the same hall. The door didn't lead outside, but to the next link in this endless chain. Panic turned into pure, unadulterated terror. I let go of the handle and crawled away from the door, pressing my back against the wall. My breath caught. This is impossible. This can't be happening. From the shadow of the next arched passageway, the waiter emerged. His smile was unchanged. "You spilled something," he said in his velvety voice. "Don't worry. Everything will be replenished." He walked over, picked up my cup from the floor, which I must have dropped while crawling. It was full. He placed it on the nearest table. "Please continue. Enjoy the moment. Everything here is for your comfort." "Let me out," I whispered, my voice betraying me with its tremor. "What is this place?" "This is a place of peace," he answered, and his empty eyes seemed bottomless. "A place where you can forget about the hustle, about the road, about time, about yourself. Just drink, and everything will be fine." He turned and left. I remained sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, and stared at that door leading to the identical hall. I was trapped in a cafe labyrinth with no exit, where time had lost all meaning, and the coffee drank you, sucking out memories, strength, personality. I don't know how long it's been. Is the clock on the wall showing the same time? Or is it just my imagination? I don't try to stand up anymore. I have no strength. I sit here on the floor and look at that full cup sitting on the table 2 steps away from me. And I feel thirst. Not just thirst for water. It's a deep, aching thirst for that peace, that emptiness I see on the others' faces. A thirst to forget this horror, this hopelessness. My mind, my memories continue to slowly dissolve. I can barely remember the color of my car, my mother's face, my own name. It's easier to give up, easier to take the cup, take another sip, and then the horror will leave, giving way to a blissful, empty smile. I've been drinking this coffee for 3 hours, but the cup won't empty, and soon I will stop emptying too. I will be filled with this peace. This cup is eternal, and my sit-in is too.